Today on Ag Etc., we're at High Plain Journal's Wheat and Sorghum U, where Rick Kochenower explains insects that affect sorghum growers in the state. New research shows a faster and better way to predict and diagnose BRD in the feedlot. The Dalebanks Angus bull sale is coming up this weekend. Matt Perrier will give you a preview and explains how his family has used genetics in their program to keep cattle profitable for themselves and their customers. And officers head to Hemp School to deal with the increasing number of hemp producers in the state. Kyle Bauer talks autonomous drones with Troy Walker. He explains what they are and what FAA regulations affects their use. It's all coming up right now on Ag Etc.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Practical, profitable genetics. It's not just a slogan, but our expectation for every Dalebanks bull we market. They won't be a one-trait wonder, but they will offer optimum levels of the most predictable genetics in the industry today. They'll be developed on forage, backed by decades of data, fertility tested, foot scored, and freeze branded. We'll sell 150 yearling and coming 2-year-old bulls in our Practical, Profitable Genetics bull sale on Saturday, November 23rd at the ranch near Eureka, Kansas. For information, call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
I was up here speaking on sorghum insects. Of course, the main one being the sugarcane aphid, or SCA. It's been a problem since 2013 or 14, but problem has kind of started declining, and I just talked about why that is. People planting more tolerant hybrids, farmers doing a better job of scouting, getting more predator populations, that kind of stuff. I just kind of give them a synopsis of what's happened in the last 5 or 6 years on sugarcane aphids. Talked a little bit about cornleaf aphids that were an issue through a very small strip of ground through eastern Texas Panhandle, eastern Oklahoma Panhandle, parts of southwest Kansas, parts of west central Kansas last year. Had a couple of producers say, oh, that's what I had last year. Nobody knew what it was. So that was kind of fun to kind of let them know what we had found out. And talked about headworm control, some new biologicals that are out there that are safe on predators. Talked a little bit about chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are a huge issue through this part of the world. North central Oklahoma, south central Kansas have historically been a problem. So showed them some of our plot pictures that we took last year on how we can maybe combat having chinch bugs. Talked a little bit about the sorghum midge. Had a problem in north central Kansas with sorghum midge last year, how it's probably traditionally not going to be a problem, but if we get into a scenario where planting windows are extended 2 to 4 weeks, on the later planted stuff, the sorghum midge can be a huge issue. So variety selection is always important. You know, you've got to plant a hybrid that is agronomically sound for your area, and then hopefully you can find one that's got SCA tolerance, stay green, some of these other traits in there. The SCA tolerance allows you to have to spray later for the sugarcane aphid. The stay green trait is one that lets you withstand periods of drought. It lets that plant go ahead and do photosynthesis, because a hybrid that doesn't have stay green in it will start senescing leaves. So if it does rain, it kind of causes problems. The stay green trait also brings charcoal rot resistance in, allows that plant to stand better in the fall. The whole goal is to harvest what you grow. The stay green trait, that's basically what it does. It allows you to harvest what you actually grow. You have a sorghum and wheat ewe together. Most guys that grow sorghum grow wheat, and they grow it in some type of a rotation. There's benefits there. S&W wants to be part of sorghum ewe. It allows us to get with a group of producers in one spot that we probably would have a hard time getting to separately. You know, you'll get, I don't know, it looks like 200, 250 people here today. For us to get in front of 250 farmers, we would have to drive, I don't know, I'm telling how many miles we have to drive. So this gets them coming by our booth, visiting with us, lets them get our story out there, lets them know what we are doing, what things are coming in the future and that kind of stuff. S&W bought the Chromatin company back last October, but S&W, they were started by 2 ranchers in California. They hired an alfalfa breeder because they didn't like the alfalfa that they could buy, so they hired their own breeder, and that's how S&W got started. They've slowly expanded. They wanted to get other crops, so last October they bought Chromatin. Most of us that stayed, that were working for Chromatin Sorghum Partners, they kept on board as the sales staff and the support staff, so a lot of that hasn't changed. Just S&W, the Sorghum Partners brand's not going anywhere because they realize having that brand out there, people know what it is. People know who Sorghum Partners is.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
A West Texas A&M animal scientist is working on better ways to predict and diagnose when feedlot cattle might be affected by a most complicated ailment, bovine respiratory disease, or BRD.
It's extremely complicated because it involves marketing stress, a lot of different stressors. Stress causes immunosuppression in cattle, and then it's very complicated because it's multifactorial from a pathogenic standpoint. So there's many viruses that are involved in the disease.
One simple fact is, the earlier it's identified, the better BRD can be treated. That's why Feed Yards gives antimicrobial shots to each animal in a high-risk pen on arrival. It's a procedure called metaphylaxis, though only 20% of cattle benefit from the strategy. Richardson offers a better plan.
Targeted metaphylaxis is conceptual at the moment, using some metric or a group of metrics to try to predict whether an animal is going to be at greater risk for bovine respiratory disease. And we can make decisions, hopefully chute side, very rapidly.
To determine which animals are or will be sick, the prediction metrics need data from observations and diagnostic tools to assess physical, consumption, and movement behaviors.
All the options have the advantage of monitoring cattle continuously. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, an accelerometer and an ear tag or on an ankle bracelet or a feeding behavior system.
The technologies can find clinically ill cattle a day or two before the average pen rider, which allows more effective treatment. Feed Yard teams are currently test driving several innovative programs.
There's feedlots that are actually kind of beta testing the different technologies for companies as we speak. I think if and when the technology becomes widespread in the industry, I'll go back to return on investment. We've got to do the research to understand how much value there is in utilizing this new way of diagnosing BRD before we're going to see widespread adoption. And so I think we're, probably at least 4 or 5 years probably, before we do the research and understand that, before we see a lot of widespread adoption.
Data show sick cattle are less efficient on feed and earn lower quality grades at the packing house, so prevention is paramount.
Cattle that are affected with bovine respiratory disease are behind their healthy pen mates. We can feed those cattle longer and try to recoup some of that lost performance, but the inflammatory response that occurs in response to a respiratory infection likely also affects marbling and fat deposition signals intramuscularly that probably reduce the grade potential regardless of adding extra days on feed in those particular cattle.
That's why it's best to monitor and act before the disease has a chance to set in. I'm Bob Cervera.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Profitable genetics. It's not just a slogan, but our expectation for every Dalebanks bull we market. They won't be a one-trait wonder, but they will offer optimum levels of the most predictable genetics in the industry today. They'll be developed on forage, backed by decades of data, fertility tested, foot scored, and freeze branded. We'll sell 150 yearling and coming 2-year-old bulls in our practical profitable genetics bull sale on Saturday, November 23rd at the ranch near Eureka, Kansas. For information, call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Matt Perrier, Dalebanks Angus at Eureka, Kansas. Our family is excited to offer 150 of our practical, profitable genetics bulls this November 23rd, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. We're looking forward to once again showcasing these bulls to commercial cattlemen across the region. It's been 115 years since my great-grandfather started the Angus herd here at Dalebanks, and while we've adopted new technologies and methods of bringing these genetics to the buying public, when we get right down to it, it's probably the same goal that we raise these genetics for commercial cow-calf producers who need them to keep them in business over the long haul. We look for these genetics to offer optimum levels of performance in terms of weaning weight, yearling growth, carcass weight, value, not necessarily maximum. We know that we can probably feed these heavier. We know that we can probably push the edge of the envelope a little harder, but we also know that we've got a cow herd at home that needs to make sure that they're under the optimum levels of performance in terms of reproductive efficiency and structural soundness, so they can make that money at home and us ourselves. When we make selection decisions on genetics here at Dalebanks, we look at it from a customer's point of view, but we look at it from our own point of view as well. Just like you, we are expecting to keep back replacement females every year, and so every mating that we make, we need to be profitable through the feed yard and through the packing plant, but we also need that potential daughter to be profitable at home. And that's something that's extremely important to us and to our customers. So things like foot soundness and structural correctness, udder quality, reproductive efficiency, cow longevity and stayability, all of these things are front of mind when we make these decisions, not just how much output can we put into these cattle. And I think that's important today. Yes, we do need to make revenue off of these cattle, but we also need to make sure that they are keeping their expenses and costs in check as far as a cow herd at home. And so we were some of the first producers in the American Angus Association to enter our cow herd onto Maternal Plus. a whole herd reporting system through the Angus Association. That gives us a lot better handle in terms of heifer pregnancy EPD, eventually stayability EPDs, and these cows that truly do make us more money because of their reproductive efficiency as well as their milking ability and performance. We were also some of the first herds to record foot structure, both claw shape and the pastern angle and claw heel depth, send that into the Angus Association, and today we're going to be one of the first sales in the region to offer these as EPDs on these 150 bulls selling in November. We again think this is something very important as our customers talk to us, and as we look at our own herd, we know that regardless of how many pounds we can put onto that beast, if he or she don't have the proper structure and the proper foot to be able to support that, they're not of a lot of value to us regardless of their genetic level. And so these are all things that, while they may not be sexy to brag about in the catalog, we think they make us money and they make the customer money as well. So it's very important as we look at these function traits in addition to all of the different EPD levels and pedigrees that we select for. So the bulls this year are going to represent all these traits and the balance that we look for amongst these traits very well. As you look across them, you may not see one bull that's in the top 0.1% of one trait, but you'll see nearly all of the bulls that are in the better half for nearly all the traits. And that's something that we look at as we make our sire selection decisions, our donor cow decisions, replacement female decisions. Basically, all of our genetic selection hinges on the total package. It's optimum levels in a multifaceted set of traits that make the commercial cow-calf producer money and hopefully make us money as well. So once again, we invite you to join us on November 23rd for our Practical Profitable Genetics Bull Sale here at our new marketing facility northwest of Eureka, Kansas.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
My name's Karen Cope and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
We're in our first year of industrial hemp research, and we have been reaching out to farmers, we've been reaching out to growers, but we realized one of the groups of people who have to deal with hemp that we haven't reached out to yet is law enforcement. So we had a field day for law enforcement today, and the Kansas Department of Agriculture was here as well to talk about the rules and the regulations. We toured the research plots to kind of show them what an industrial hemp farm would look like, what a grain plot looks like, and what a CBD plot looks like. We had lots of great questions, lots of back and forth, and it was all in all, it was a really successful day.
Law enforcement's involvement with industrial hemp will exceedingly grow as this crop becomes commercialized in Kansas. These outreach events are kind of bridging the gap between those that are involved with the program and law enforcement that may potentially get involved with questions that they have about what's required for licensees to have on themselves when they're transporting industrial hemp. What should I be looking for to ensure that someone's conducting activities that they're legally allowed to conduct. Their involvement with potentially criminal investigations and making the distinction between industrial hemp and cannabis is going to be extremely crucial. So this educational outreach event is a building block for those in law enforcement to understand how it grows and making it into an industrial hemp product.
Practical, profitable genetics. It's not just a slogan, but our expectation for every Dalebanks bull we market. They won't be a one-trait wonder, but they will offer optimum levels of the most predictable genetics in the industry today. They'll be developed on forage, backed by decades of data, fertility tested, foot scored, and freeze branded. We'll sell 150 yearling and coming 2-year-old bulls in our Practical, Profitable Genetics bull sale on Saturday, November 23rd at the ranch near Eureka, Kansas. For information, call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
Clyde Sutton, Ness City, Kansas. Lived on this place all my life. About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell. First it wasn't for me, then they started doing neck and back. Went and had it done. As you can see, I saddled a horse. I'm still building fence. Love to shoot a shotgun rifle, and I'm able to participate, not like I used to, but nevertheless I can do the things I used to do, and life is good.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Troy Walker. I just heard his presentation on autonomous drones, and of course, drones are talked about in all different aspects of society right now. We're getting some really great pictures, but the drones also offer an opportunity for crop work that hasn't been available before. Let's start, though, what it means to have an autonomous drone.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. To be a fully autonomous drone means that it can take off and land by itself with nobody around. Now, today we can take off and land and fly, or take off, fly a mission over some fields, take some images, come back, land, recharge, download, and that's all fully autonomous today. So that physical technology is there. Now, as you mentioned, we are a little limited today in that we have to have somebody on site because of the Federal Aviation Administration regulations regarding line of sight. Somebody has to be able to see the drone and take charge of it all the time. That way, if an aircraft popped into the space, we could land it immediately. But the next step is, and they've done some testing, American Robotics did some testing yet this summer, where the drone system is able to hear aircraft that are in its area of operation and then go ahead and land itself safely to avoid any sort of incident that might occur. So the technology's coming. I would say today it's more the regulation that we're going to have to get changed, or you know, the legislators and organizations like the FAA will have to be comfortable with what the technology is capable of today in order to say that it can do it by itself.
Well, if that were, let's just talk about, even if it wasn't autonomous, what the technology of the drone can do with its photo-taking ability. And then we'll worry about the regulation.
Right, sure, absolutely. So today we can set it up on a schedule where it'll fly, you know, every day or even every couple of days over any given field. Now, first, that flight, what it's going to look like is it's going to go up and it's going to fly at about 400 feet, which is the ceiling that they want autonomous vehicles or drones to fly at. Flies at 400 feet, where you're getting some really good resolution even at 400 feet. But particularly when you compare that to satellite imagery, we're much higher detailed, higher resolution than satellite imagery. I'd equate it to, if you remember a TV from the early 90s versus your ultra high 4K definition TV today, that's the difference a little bit in satellite versus what we're going to be able to see with our drone imagery today. The images are just clearer. They're just, you can see so much more with it. So that capability is there today. The other technology or capability that we really had to address was the data movement. You can imagine if we're taking that high a resolution data, that it takes a lot of space. Even, your phone has a lot of space on it. You have a digital camera and it takes a lot of pictures, and then you fill up your phone. The same thing, we're taking hundreds and hundreds of images every time we're up there. We create tens of gigs of data every flight, and so the fact that the drone's able to come back, land itself, download that data, and then push it out to the cloud so that it can process it and serve it up on my phone or a grower's phone or whoever needs access to that data, a crop scout's phone, in a very short period of time is a huge advantage over other drone technology out there today.
So right now, the only person that's out there during the autonomous drone's flight is really just a supervisor.
That's right, just an observer. Really, just somebody who qualify or meets the regulatory standard of having somebody on site. They are not having to do anything with that machine that's out there today.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. After stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. They all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? Where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.